4 different fighters on this card have a salary of $9,500 or more, leaving our underdog choices to be difficult to pick through. Can we find one? There's only one way to find out.
UFC Fight Night, we've got Derek Lewis taking on Teixeira in the main event this weekend. And in this video, Josh Engleman and I, we're going to try to build for you the perfect DraftKings DFS lineup. And if you guys would like to try to build the perfect lineup for yourself, you can sign up for any of the packages that we have for Stokastic down below in the YouTube description box. We've also got a giveaway for you guys. We're going to give away for the last card, but it kind of didn't go all that well because the way that we did this was one person in the comment who got the correct answer to which fighter would score the most fantasy points was going to get a free sub to the site. And not a single one of you got the answer right. The answer was Delgado, and nobody picked him. So we're running it back today. Let us know down below in the comment section. Who do you think scores the most fantasy points this weekend? And as long as at least one of you gets the answer correct, we're going to pick one person with the right answer to get themselves a free sub. But let's go ahead and start building the perfect lineup. It is really difficult to find any cheap fighters that you could be reasonably confident in are going to pick up a win this weekend. So the way I'm looking at the value range is who are the cheap fighters that if they win are most likely to deliver a GPP winning score? And that's what's kind of leaning me towards rostering Walter Walker this weekend. Not because I think he's great or that I'm picking him to win against Kennedy and Setchikyu, but because he lands nearly 5 takedowns per 15 minutes. 4.95 takedowns is what Walker lands per 15 minutes. That is his path to victory. If he wins this fight, it is going to be by implementing a relentless wrestling and grappling game plan. So if he does win, he is almost assuredly going to be in the winning lineup. If he stands and trades on the feet, much like his brother, he is probably going to end up getting knocked out in this fight. So I think that Walter Walker, who we've actually seen come in with much better game plans than his brother Johnny Walker, is going to know that his win condition is going to be wrestling and grappling. I think he's going to look to do that early and often against Kennedy and Setchikyu. And if he's able to implement that game plan, I expect a win from Walter Walker and a lot of DraftKings fantasy points. So with that in mind, Walter Walker, he's my favorite value play on the entire slate.
I spent a lot of time looking through everybody at the top of the salary tier, trying to find who I think is the one person you need to pay up for. But ultimately, I decided to not go that direction at all. I'm going to Junior Tafa, 8,600. He is 61% to win, and he's 50% to win inside distance. That's the 4th highest mark of anybody on this card. Yet again, as I mentioned, 8,600. And we're looking at a coin flip for a finish. He's got a 37% chance to have a top 6 score on this slate. That's all coming out of the top fighters tool. You guys can see it on the screen right now. But he's only 27% owned, and I like that little disparity. He's also dropping down. This is his first fight at light heavyweight since 2022 at a card called Beatdown Promotions 1. So kudos to everybody involved in that one. Now, honestly, there are some things that I like even more here because he's dropping down. Tafa lands like 7 significant strikes at distance per minute. That's a pretty massive number, and I expect that to be a little bit better now that he's not going to be as heavy. I assume that he had to do at least a little bit more cardio than he did before. So I think that is advantageous for us. And my biggest issue for this fight is if he doesn't get the finish, because I do think there's a chance that this becomes a mildly boring light heavyweight fight. Their pace metrics in our top fighters tool, not very high. I'm chasing the knockout. That's why that 50% inside the distance number exists. The thing that I'm not worried about, though, to a degree, is the loss. I know I'll pay for that in the future when you guys can clip what I'm saying, but which leads me to think that he could potentially get knocked out. I just don't see it here. I think Tafa's going to blast him and blast him early, and you're going to get paid off by having the value of an $8,600 price.
In the mid-range, we have Chidi Njokuani taking on Jake Matthews, and I do think whoever wins this fight should score pretty well from a DraftKings perspective, and Jake Matthews has all of the tools to win, but there is one issue. He almost never implements the best possible game plan to win his fights, so what often ends up happening is he'll be in a fight where it's like, hey, Jake Matthews, if he wrestles in this matchup, he should win pretty easily and end up scoring a pretty good DraftKings fantasy point score. But that's happened in many, many Jake Matthews fights, and he just rarely takes the most easy path to success. So with that in mind, I think we're probably going to see Chidi Njokuani and Jake Matthews stand and trade on the feet. And that's probably not going to go all that well for Jake Matthews. Chidi and Shaquani has massive power. And I do think this could play out pretty similarly to the fight that Jake Matthews had against Matthew Semmelsberger, where on paper, you look at that fight and you say, if Jake Matthews wrestles, and he was a really big favorite in that fight too, you say if he wrestles, he's going to win easily and he's going to put up a big DraftKings score. But what happens? He doesn't. He stands and trades on the feet. Matthew Semmelsberger knocks him down 3 times. The fight actually did go to decision. Jake Matthews is able to survive, but still 3 knockdowns in that fight. And Chidi and Shaquani is even bigger power than Matthew Semmelsberger. He's a better athlete than Matthew Semmelsberger. So assuming that Jake Matthews does not look to wrestle in this fight, I think Chidi and Shaquani is able to land some big shots on Jake Matthews, puts him down, and possibly gets himself an early finish. So in the mid-range, I really like rostering Chidi and Shaquani. He's got big early finish potential.
So now we're using the single lineup simulator at Stokastic.com to fill out the rest of our lineup. I added Tafa, I added Jokuani, I added Walker. So we have our 3 guys from the video. Now all we have to do is click complete this lineup, and it will fill in the 3 extra fighters with whoever is optimal for the salary we have left, which right now is $8,600 per spot. And it looks like we're going to be pretty balanced here. It gives us Teixeira against Derek Lewis. We get Charrier as well at $8,900. So we are getting 2 payups there, but nothing in the upper tier. And then it's also giving us another mild pay down, $7,800. We ended up getting Calvin Kattar. I think this lineup fills out pretty nicely. We left $100 on the table. Now we want to find out, how does it actually grade out? And we'll find that out by clicking Run Lineup Simulation. And if you're entering this one in the main, you're going to feel pretty good about it. 98% sim ROI, a 0.9% chance to pick up the win, 4.5% chance to be one of the top 10% of lineups, and a 44.5% cash rate. Maybe you want to move that around. Maybe you think that you need to get a little bit higher at the pay up end. You can do that if you want to. Open up the single lineup sim, swap around anybody you're looking for, run that lineup again, and then you'll get the data. All I want to know is, did you get the perfect lineup?